rest on us. Fire and wind, come into it again. Open up the gates, let heaven on in. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. Fire and wind, come into it again. Open up the gates, let heaven on in. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. Come down, Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you feel the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. Come down, Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you feel the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. So fire and wind, come into it again. Open up the gates, let heaven on in. Rest on us. Rest on us. Fire and wind, come into it again. Open up the gates, let heaven on in. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. Fire and wind, come into it again. Open up the gates, let heaven on in. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. Come down. Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you feel the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. Down. Spirit, when you move, you make my heart pound. When you feel the room, you're here and I know you are moving. I'm here and I know you will feel me. So fire and wind, come into it again. Open up the gates, let heaven on in. Come rest on us. Come rest on us. joy rising. I hear hope calling. I see fear hiding. I hear chains falling. I see walls shaking. I hear doubt running. My God's on his way. Yes, he is coming. I see joy rising. I hear hope calling. I see fear hiding. I see chains falling. I see walls shaking. I hear doubt running. My God's on his way. Yes, he is coming. My God's on his way. 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 Yes, he is coming. Now here in his presence, our shame disappears. Now here, let's stand undefeated, 'cause Jesus is here. Before I spoke a word, you were singing over me. And you have been so, so good to me. Before I took a breath, you breathed your life in me. And you have been so, so kind to me. And all the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me down, finds till I'm found, lives the 99. And I couldn't earn it, and I don't deserve it. Still, you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. When I was your foe, still your love fought for me. And you have been so, so kind to me. When I felt no worth, you paid it all for me. And you have been so, so kind to me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it mountain you've not climbed up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, lie you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall he won't kick down, lie he won't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Oh, it chases me now, but still I'm found, leaves the 99. And I could learn it, I don't deserve it, still you give yourself away. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. There's no shadow he won't light up, mountain he won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall he's not kicked down, lie he's not torn down, coming after me. There's no shadow he won't light up, mountain he won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall he won't kick down, lie he won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow he won't light up, mountain he won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall he won't kick down, lie he won't tear down, coming after me. 'cause I know you make a way. I don't always understand, I don't always get to see, but I will believe it, I will believe it. You make mountains move, you make giants fall, you use songs of praise to shake prison walls. And I will speak to my fears, I will preach to my doubt. You were faithful then, you'll be faithful now. I'm standing on your word, calling heaven down to earth, and you will fight my enemies, and this will end in victory, and I will believe it, yes I will believe it. You make mountains move, you make giants fall, you use songs of praise to shake prison walls. And I will speak to my fears, I will preach to my doubt. You were faithful then, you'll be faithful now. And I know that I know you never fail. Yes, I know that I know you never will. And I know that I know you never fail. And I know that I know you never will. 'Cause you make mountains move, you make giants fall, you use songs of praise to shake prison walls. So I will speak to my fears, and I will preach to my doubt. 'Cause you were faithful then, but you'll be faithful now. 'Cause you make mountains move, you make giants fall, you use songs of praise to shake prison walls. I will speak to my fears, I will preach to my doubt. You were faithful then, you'll be faithful now. You were faithful then, you'll be faithful now. You were faithful then, you'll be faithful now.
I'm gonna knock her in the head. Listen, I don't, April's gonna preach, but as they were singing that song, I was sitting there thinking, of course, some of y'all know my struggle, and some of you know what Alicia's facing, and some of us is facing some giants in our life. And as he was singing that song, what's the words? I see giants fall. And as he was singing that, I got to thinking about David, because that's who it's talking about. It's David and Goliath. And I got to thinking about that, and I thought, you know, you've never failed me yet. You know, so many times in my life, what I'm going through, and I'm sure what Alicia's going through right now, it's in the back of your mind. Is this going to work out? Is this really going to work out? Or am I going to see death? Or am I going to see a jail cell? And you can't help. That's just human nature. You know what I'm saying? That's not doubt. That's not, we've got to preach to that doubt. But that's just human nature. But I got to thinking about that, about David and Goliath. And it said that David ran. And he told the giant, he said, who are you? Who are you, cancer, to come up against the living God? Who are you to come up against the true and living God? And it says, and he ran to him. Said that this giant had come out, and he'd come out every day, and he would mock. And I don't know about you, Alicia, but I've heard a lot of mocking in my night hours. You know, so-and-so just died of cancer. You know they've done buried 3. What is that? That's mocking, isn't it? You know they done put Kevin in jail. That's mocking. That's that mocking voice that you hear. And he's trying to get us to back down from our giant. But it says that David come out and said, who are you, you uncircumcised Philistine, to come up against the army of the living God? And it says, and he ran to him. And then I was thinking about that, and I thought, what made David so brave? What made him so brave? That he run, because listen, David was little. In stature, he was little. And all of these giants was behind him, had on this huge armor. And they was scared to go out and meet the giant. So what made David think that he could do it with a sling and some stones? What? The battles he'd already won. The battles he'd already had. And he stood on what God had already done. When I read the word, it does not say anywhere in there that God sent David to kill that giant. It does not say that God said, David, go kill that giant. All he had to go on was what God had done before. And I thought, God, that's all we got to do is stand on what you've done. All we've got to do is stand on what God's done. And I don't care if we've seen 100 people die of cancer. I've seen some that God healed. So what do I want to stand on? Do I want to stand on my deathbed? Or do I want to stand over here with the ones that come out of it that was alive? I posted a story this morning. Hand me my water a minute. I posted a story this morning about a woman that was dying of cancer. Some woman sent it to me. And she was dying of cancer. And they told her, they said, we can't give you any treatments. It'll do no good. Said, because you're done too far gone. She'd had stage 3 metastatic breast cancer, or she'd had stage 3 breast cancer just like I had. Then it came back. And it had done went in her lungs. Her daddy died of lung cancer. That's that Goliath standing there screaming, your daddy's done died of lung cancer. You know you're going to die. And she said, but all of a sudden, she said, Jesus walked in the room. And she said, I made my mind up that I was going to believe him over all the stuff that was being told to me. And did you know God healed that woman? She's still alive today, and that was 14 years ago. God healed her. Because sometimes we've got to stand on what we know that God's done before. And look past what the giant's screaming at us. Amen? Come on, April, preach.
No, I want them to sing for just a minute. So I love, and I want you to listen real closely. You can sit down and turn around and look at me. I want you to listen. So as I was listening, I just began to hear the Lord speak. And he began to highlight to me. All of a sudden, I looked at Dawana. And Dawana, I looked at that grandbaby in your arms. And I heard the Lord say, oh, remember what you've already walked through. And the victory that's already been given. And as I feel the Spirit of God all over me as I say this. I'm telling you, that baby right there that you're holding in your arms is walking through to the other side because of what God's already did. Then all of a sudden, I began to just hear Mama. I love that you got up here and said all that you said because it just lets me know what God's about to do. All of a sudden, I seen you staring at this giant. And I seen you and you was taking these rocks and you was throwing them. And I heard the Lord say, remember what I've already done. I've already defeated alcoholism. I've already defeated one tumor in your body. And you better get ready because I'm going to defeat this giant. And all of a sudden, you threw another stone. And when you did, this thing started losing its balance. And this big thing began to go down. And I'm telling you, the giant in your life is beginning to wobble. Don't you stop now at throwing stones at that thing. And that stone is the rock, who is Jesus himself. And I'm telling you right now, the giant in your life is beginning to wobble because it can't withstand what's being thrown at it. I'm telling you right now, we've got something to praise God for. If there is something in your life and it feels like a Goliath, or it feels like, man, I'm not ever going to make it, remember who you are and remember where God has brought you from, because he's not brought you this far to drop you right now. I'm telling you, we're going to the other side. Let's worship another minute and see what all the Lord wants to do. Amen.
Saturday was silent, surely it was through. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? Friday's disappointment was Sunday's empty tomb. Since when has impossible ever stopped you? This is the sound of dry bones rattling. This is the place make a dead man walk again. So open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Pentecostal fire, stirring something new. You're not gonna run out of miracles anytime soon. Resurrection power runs through my veins too, and I believe there's another miracle here in this room. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. This is the praise make a dead man walk again. dry bones rattling. This is the praise making dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. Dry bones hear the word of the Lord. 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 This is the sound of dry bones rattling. This is the praise make a dead man walk again. Open the grave, I'm coming out. I'm gonna live again. This is the sound of dry bones rattling. I believe you're the wonder-working God, the wonder-working God. All the miracles I've seen, too good to not believe. You're the wonder-working God, and you heal because you love. All the miracles I've seen, you're too good to not believe. You're the wonder-working God. You're the wonder-working God. All the miracles I've seen, you're too good to not believe. You're the wonder-working God, and you heal because you love. Oh, the miracles we'll see. You're too good to not believe. Too good to not believe. Too good to not believe. After everything I've seen, you're too good to not believe. Too good to not believe. Too good to not believe. After everything I've seen, you're too good to not believe. I've seen cancer disappear. I've seen metal placed dissolve. Don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. 'Cause I've seen real life resurrection. I've seen mental health restored. Don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. 'Cause I've seen families reunited. I've seen prodigals return. Don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. 'Cause I've seen troubled souls delivered. I've seen addicts finally free. Don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. You're the wonder-working God. You're the wonder-working God. All the miracles I see, too good to not believe. You're the wonder-working God, and you heal because you love. Oh, the miracles I see, too good to not believe. You're the wonder-working God. You're the wonder-working God. All the miracles I see, too good to not believe. Too good to not believe. And I've seen cancer disappear. I've seen metal places all. Don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. I've seen real life resurrection. I've seen mental health restored. Don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. 'Cause I see families reunited. I see prodigals return. Don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. 'Cause I've seen troubled souls delivered. I've seen addicts finally free. Don't you tell me he can do it. Don't you tell me he can do it. 'Cause we'll see cities in revival and salvation flood the streets. Don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. We'll see glory fill this nation like the world has never seen. Don't you tell me he can't do it. Don't you tell me he can't do it. I believe you're the wonder-working God. You're the wonder-working God. All the miracles I see, it's too good to not believe. You're the wonder-working God, and you heal because you love. All the miracles we'll see, it's too good to not believe. It's too good to not believe. After everything I've seen, too good to not believe. 'Cause I see families reunited. I see prodigals that's home. Yes, I know that he can do it. Yes, I know that he can do it. 'Cause I see troubled souls delivered. I see addicts finally free. Yes, I know that he can do it. Yes, I know that he can do it. So we'll see cities in revival and salvations flood the street. Yes, we know that he can do it. Yes, we know that he can do it. We'll see glory fill this nation like the world has never seen. Yes, we know that he can do it.
Amen. He's too good to not believe. Oh, Lord. I'm going to tell her, Mama. Mama looked at me. She said, don't you preach a long time, and I mean it. True story, Facebook. True story. All right. So you may be seated. I was just praying, and as I was just listening to what God was saying, it was just so good how I felt like that we was seeing. I know it is so hot in here. Is anybody else hot? Because like at any given moment, like my heart rate is already like, blah, 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 blah. I get hot and I'm like, uh-oh, we might want to go down there a little bit. Oh, Lord. But I was thinking about, what all the Lord is doing. And I was just so encouraged even by that word, because I thought, my God, we're going to see him do it again. You know what I mean? All the hell that DeWanna walked through at one point in her life. I wasn't around during that time, but I hear horror stories of, a time in her life that it was just a horrible time. But now we see however many years later and the end result that Jesus had the victory, and all she had to do is just keep standing and keep fighting and allow the Lord to do what he was going to do. And the Lord brought that victory, and it was just so encouraging, because I'm an insider and I know what's going on, but I'm like, oh wow, Lord, you're going to do it again in the same way with you. And so anyway, as I was just listening to the Lord, I began to, when Tiffany sung that song about there's no shadow you won't light up, there's no mountain you won't climb up coming after me, I love it so much, because in Mark chapter 4, it says that they got over to the other side. That Jesus and his disciples had just went through a storm to reach the other side of the shore. And what's so profound about this, Jesus went for one reason, and one reason alone. And it was for one man. Because no sooner that Jesus done the miracle in the man's life, the people in the town ran him out and said, you're no longer welcome here. And I really felt like this urge in my spirit that Jesus has been walking through some storms to reach where you are. There's no storm that he won't walk through coming after you. If you're the only one on the island, if you're the only one that's at the island that needs help, he'll walk through hell to get to where you are. And so we see here, let me get to it. I'm sorry, it's Mark 5. And we see that they arrived to the other side, and when Jesus climbed out of the boat, let me just stop right here. If you want to label this anything, if you want to title this anything, Jesus has come to interfere with the enemy's plan over your life. If you want to label it anything, Jesus has come to bring interference to the storm, to the demons, to the torture, to the mind games, to the battle, to the stronghold. Whatever it is that you're going through, Jesus is bringing interference. And I want to read just right quick the definition to interfere. Interfere means to take part or intervene in an activity without invitation or necessity. I remember a time in my life whenever I hadn't even invited Jesus into my life, but he was coming without invitation. I mean, I didn't have to invite him. I was his child. Little did I know I would soon be reborn again and be his child. But I didn't even have to invite him. He came without invitation. Sometimes there's an SOS going out of your heart and you don't even realize it, but Jesus hears that SOS, that struggle, and he says, I'm coming with interference to the enemy that you can't break away from. I'm coming with interference to the enemy that's torturing you day and night, night and day. It's an everyday thing. I'm coming to bring interference to the pain that you're walking through. I know people in my life right now that we was just talking today about going to this thing that we're going to in June, the first weekend in June, and how we're having to make arrangements because people can't walk up steps. And I mean, it's real. You know what I'm saying? Like it's real. Come on, Jesus, bring interference to the pain, the everyday pain that we're walking with, our aches and our pains, our knee, the cancer, whatever it is. If it's real to you, it's real to him. And he's too good not to believe. You know, I love that we continuing to sing about miracles. Why? Because we've got to stay in a realm of faith. Because the enemy is seeking whom he may devour, whom he may deceive into believing that was just an old time Testament thing. That was just for whenever the disciples was here. No, Jesus said it's imperative that I go away. It's good that I go away because I will send the comforter. I will send the one that you need. And the things that I'm doing now, you will do in even greater measure. Not that I'm going to be bigger than Jesus, Tiffany, but there's more of us. There's a Jesus living in me, and there's a Jesus living in you, and there's a Jesus living in you. And if we could ever just learn and how to tap into that, and we're well on our way. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be open to you. A good father is not going to stand at the door with a padlock saying you can't come in. You know, if my children was ever outside, and I really want you to think about this, if my children was ever outside and they was in a storm, hey, do you see what I'm doing? I just now noticed it. Do you see that? I've not had that mic up to my thing. I've been holding it like this. Y'all proud of me? Sorry, squirrel. But if my children was ever caught in a storm and it was lightning and thundering and in a storm, there's no way that I would stand at the door and look at them through the peephole and say, you can't come in. And the Bible says if you, being a earthly father, know how to give good things to your children, how much more am I going to give to those who are mine? And so I know that we are at that place where it's like we're knocking, we're sending out that SOS, and I hear the word of the Lord saying, I am coming. And I'm walking through storms. I'm coming through. There may be a delay in there, just like when Daniel purposed in his heart to seek the Lord, instantly angels was released with the answers that he needed, but they was held up in storms. They was held up in warfare. And you know what I'm saying? But still, they was on the way. They was on the way. And that's one of the things that we've got to know, that God is a good father. And yes, we are on the outside and we've got rains coming down. We're hearing lightning and thunder. And it's like things is cracking and popping. And it's like, what's going to take place? But I promise you, all we've got to do is continue to knock on that door. And he's going to open that up to us. Because he is a good father that's not going to stand and watch you struggle. There's an SOS cry that's being let out of your heart. Maybe even without invitation. Maybe you've done let up on praying. There's been times in my life to where it's like I prayed and 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 nothing was happening. I thought, well, I just missed it. And see, the enemy would say to you, well, if you've quit asking, you sure ain't going to receive. But see, he's a good father, Tiffany. And the SOS cry of your heart, he says, you let them know that I'm coming to interfere with the enemy that's been causing them trouble in their life. And so as I read this, interfere means to prevent a process or activity. I don't know about you, but I need God to prevent a process from continuing on. I know that yours is evident. Yours is cancer, and yours may be pains in your body. Yours may be addiction in your family. Yours may be generational curses that's been handed down from your father to you. I know I'm struggling with a generational curse now to try my best to break that so that my children don't have to grow up to break that. And there may be things that you're seeing in your children that they're walking through right now, and it's like, Lord, I need you to do something. Come on, there's some of us in the room that our children has got a mind of their own at this time in their life. You know what I mean? It's like we could control them a few years ago, but now they've come to that age where they're making decisions and they're doing all these things. And all you can do as a praying mama is pray even harder. Do what you can do to prevent them from going down a road. But you got to pray and you got to say, Lord, I'm sending out an interference call. I need you to come and interfere with what the enemy is trying to do in this child's life. Whatever it is that you're walking through right now, whatever it is that you're struggling, I promise you, if you're the only one stuck on an island, Jesus will do whatever he has to walk to the place where you are to interfere with the enemy that has been tormenting you and your family. I love this because I was like, wow. I read it and I'm like, God, you went through all that. Jesus, you said, let us go to the other side for one person. You said, let us go through this storm for one person. And Jesus said, if I've got to go to the ends of the earth, that is where I will go, to those who crying out to my name. I'm on the way. I wonder what it would be like to have an interference in your life. Not an interference of the enemy. We're used to that. We're used to the devil coming in and throwing all kinds of throwdown, smack, and everything else, and temptations, lured away by the lusts of our flesh. But what about an interference when Jesus shows up and breaks that stronghold that you've been stuck in? What freedom that there is. And so to interfere means to prevent a process or activity from continuing or being carried out properly. To prevent a process from being carried out properly. The devil seeks to kill you, but his plans will not be carried out properly. He may look like he's got the upper hand right now, but the wobbly giant is beginning to fall because I see Jesus in a distance coming across the water through the storm, and my God is on his way. He is on his way to interfere with the torment in your mind, to interfere with the low down things that's coming in your mind, telling you that you're less than, comparing yourself. Even when you come in this room, I felt it. I felt that spirit in here tonight. I can't even relate to all this. Oh, Tiffany, if they only knew the hell we've been walking through. Sometimes you just got to lift your praise. It confuses people, but it also confuses the enemy. You got to begin to just lift those hands. And I felt that even as we come in the room of like, I don't even belong. Do you know how long I struggle with that? I would come in and sit on that front pew and I think, God, I don't even belong here. Next thing you know, here come Tiffany stepping out, talking to me. Why? Because it's combating that you're hearing in your mind. That's what I'm doing right now. But anyway, to interfere means to prevent something from a process or an activity from continuing to be carried out properly. It says, so when Jesus arrived at the other side, he climbed out of the boat, and a man possessed by an evil spirit came out from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the burial caves. In the burial caves. That's that cave. Open up the grave. I'm coming out. Some of you need to get ready because you're about to come out of those dead places that you've been in, because resurrection power is about to hit your body. Okay? And so all of a sudden, he was put into chains. He snapped the chains day and night. He wandered along the caves, howling and cutting himself with sharp stones. See, we worry about our children these days. They're like, what is going on with these kids? It happened then. It's the same spirit. It's the same cutter spirit that was there tens of thousands of years or however long ago. It's the same spirit. But there is relief. Can you imagine this man that had been cutting himself? They had took him to the tombs. They had locked him down, chained. He began to just be in there alone, hearing nothing but the torment. How many times are you laying in your bed at night and you hear nothing but the torment? Nothing but the thoughts of you're not good enough. If you died, nobody would care. All those thoughts that tell you that you're less than, that you're nothing and you never will be nothing. You might as well not even set your hopes up, because every time you got your hopes set up, you've always been let down. How many of you are just like this? I've been there. I've been there. Not too long ago, actually. But all of a sudden, can you imagine this man that had been left alone? And he's seen his miracle at a distance. All of a sudden, he's seen Jesus coming across that water. And he said, could this be it? Could this be the moment that everything changes? Has this been the moment that I've waited my entire life for? Is this the time that the giant in my life is going to fall? And all of a sudden, Jesus got out. And when Jesus was still a good distance away, the man saw him and ran to meet him, and he bowed low before him. But with a shriek, he screamed, "Why are you interfering with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In the name of God, I beg you, don't torture me." For Jesus had already said to the spirit, "Come out of the man, you evil spirit." All of a sudden, are you talking about I'm possessed? I'm talking about the torture that we're in. I'm talking about cancer. I'm talking about struggle with family. I'm talking about struggle with addiction. Whatever it is, don't get freaked out by the possession part of it. Let me just tell you, if we could only open our eyes to see the spiritual world, we might understand a little bit more than we do today. Tracy, why did I grow up to become just like my daddy, and my daddy didn't even raise me? Because it's a generational curse. The things that I swore that I would never be like in him, that I hated about him, I found myself struggle with when I got older. Why? Because it's a spiritual world. But all of a sudden we see that this man who had been locked up, lock and key, all of a sudden he comes and bows at Jesus' feet, and the Spirit begins to say, "Why are you here to interfere with us?" And that's where we are today. Jesus said, "I'm coming to interfere with the enemy who's been tormenting you. I'm coming to interfere with the battle that you're in. I'm coming to interfere with the sickness that you're walking through. I'm coming to interfere with the generational curses over your family's life. I'm coming to interfere with the enemy's plan over your children. I'm coming to interfere and to bring to a halt something that is desiring to take your life." So all of a sudden we know the end of the story, that Jesus cast these into the pigs, and as soon as he got there, the people said, you gotta leave. And again, I'm like, if he went there for one man, if he's here tonight, but just for one, he's here. And I know he's here for more. But it said here, as Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him, but Jesus said, "No, go home to your family and tell them everything that the Lord has done for you." And so all of a sudden we see that here this man is. And Jesus, he's wanting to go with Jesus. And Jesus said, "No, it's better that you go." And the man then went, and the crowds began to gather around him. Those same crowds that locked him up in a tomb is now coming together to hear his story. There's a lot of people's lost all hope in you, but one day they'll gather around you as you tell the story of when Jesus came to interfere. There's a lot of people that says, "Well, there's sin in your life. There's things in your life. Why are you not healed yet? You talk about healing all the time, but why are you not healed yet?" And they're talking on the sidelines of, "Well, wonder what sin is in Sue's life that's preventing her from getting healed." But those same people one day will come and gather to hear the story of when Jesus came and interfered with cancer, and it radically shifted her entire life. The same way with her, people come and gather. People, during a time whenever Dewana was walking through some of the things that she walked through with the girls, all of a sudden it was like, "God, I'm so glad I ain't her. God, I'm glad I ain't got all that hell in my life." But now some of the same people come and say, "How did you ever get through this?" Because I found myself where you are. Come on, I'm telling you, God is in this place to interfere with the plan of the enemy over yours or your family's life. He's coming. And he said, "You ain't got to cut anymore to find relief. I'm going to cast that thing away, and you're going to be clothed and sitting in your right mind at my feet." That's what the word said, that after Jesus had cast them away, here come the man, begged to go with Jesus, and he was clothed. No longer naked and ashamed, but he was clothed, sitting in his right mind at Jesus' feet. I don't know about you, but Tracy, I've been in that place where your mind is so crazy, medication couldn't even help. Zoloft could never help the demons that was in my mind. But an encounter with Jesus, left me with clarity. The warfare that's been in your mind, Jesus said, I'm coming to interfere and bring you peace. Even if I've got to walk through hell, I'm coming, and I'm coming to save you. So I want them to just play a song right quick. And I felt like the Lord said that we need to begin to do altar calls more. Because it's an invitation. It's an invitation to come and encounter Him. It's an invitation to release all those things that we've been carrying. Can't nobody do me like Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord. And as we go into this moment, as we begin to get ready and prepared for this altar, if there's something in your life that you need Jesus to interfere with, let